Hey gamers, what's up? So recently I read an article in which Quantic Dream co-founder and European Games Developer Federation chairman Guillaume de Fondaumiere says his company has lost millions due to the rise of secondhand gaming. Of course I have to talk about this because it's my business and because I think he really supplied the readers with only a portion of the full story and facts, and it's the portion that serves him best. He said that the used game market is, and I quote, one of the #1 problems right now in the industry, unquote. He cited his own studio's Heavy Rain as an example, saying that the PS3 exclusive sold 2 million copies, but the trophy stats show that 3 million people played the game. Based on this information, he said, quote, on my small level, it's 1 million people playing my game without giving me 1 cent, and my calculation is, as Quantic Dream, I lost between $6.8 and $13.6 million worth of royalties because of secondhand gaming, unquote. I'll touch on this in a second. First off, he also said that developers and publishers, quote, are going to see that they can't make a living out of producing games that are sold through retail channels because of secondhand gaming, unquote, and will wind up moving exclusively to digital distribution channels. He then acknowledged that prices of new games are, quote, probably too expensive, and that all parties are going to have to work together for the best outcome for customers, retailers, developers, and publishers. So I have some questions for Guillaume de Fondaumiere. How many new game sales are contributed to by the trade-in of old titles? He says himself that new prices are too steep, but doesn't consider how many gamers traded in old games to get his new title. On day one, when there were no used copies of the game on the shelves, how many people on a budget brought in old games so that they could use the credit to buy his brand new title? This applies to all new game sales, all new game launches. How many of the launch sales were made because of the used game market? We can't forget that the used game market stimulates the new game market in that way. And for the record, I bet my entire store and everything in it that not every single one of those 1 million people he's talking about bought the game used. How many people in a household played the game? Look, if I fork up $60 to buy a game on day one, brand new, and say my 2 brothers want to play it on their profiles, is that not okay? I mean, I paid for it, it's mine, my household owns it. Shouldn't my family have access to the game as well? What if 2 guys go in half and half on the game because it was too expensive? Is that not okay? Or what if I have a second profile and I play it on that? Not okay? How about this? What if I buy it and my friend wants to try it out? Is it not okay for me to loan it to him so he can try it out? What if I bought the game new and I beat it and I had a good time with it, but then there's this little kid who couldn't afford it, this poor little kid, so I give it to him? Do you deserve a royalty check for that? Should the poor little kid write you a check? Should he make it out to Quantic Dream or directly to Guillaume de Fondaumiere? You greedy moron. When I pay $60 for a new game, shouldn't I have the right to do with it as I please? Shouldn't I be allowed to trade, sell, loan, or give it away when I'm done? Oh no, Guillaume de Fondaumiere would rather me fork up the $60, and then when I'm done with the game, it doesn't matter, I can't get rid of it, I own it forever. Thanks to guys like him, I can keep it after it becomes useless and I have no use for it. That's the future of gaming in his eyes. You pay the developer directly, full price for the game, and they let you think you own it, but you know you don't. You learn that real quick when you realize it has no value. Maybe down the road you sell your console, then what? You can't play the game anymore and you get absolutely nothing for the money you spent on it. What if you bought 20 games? Today, 20 brand new titles is $1,200 worth of games, and they have no real value to you and I if they're just digital downloads. Would you go buy a car if you were told that you could never trade or sell it when you didn't want it anymore? That's what this is. And don't say, well, a car is much more expensive because, you know, blah blah blah, because after 6 years of buying digital downloads, you're going to pay out thousands of dollars. Thanks, Guillaume. Thanks, Quantic Dream. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for thinking of us. Thanks for giving me a game that I can beat in 8 hours for $60 that I can do nothing with when I'm done. Think of that, $60 for an 8-hour game. If you're lucky. Hey, thanks for letting me pay you $7.50 an hour to play your game and then giving me nothing to do with it when I'm done. You want more game sales, Guillaume? Maybe if games were cheaper on launch day, they'd sell more. They'd sell vast amounts before there were any used copies of the game on shelves to even compete. How about that? And if you don't want people to trade it in, how about making a game with some replay value? There's a thought. Secondhand gaming has been around as long as gaming itself has been. I remember buy-sell trade stores that did Nintendo games, VHS tapes, and record albums. GameStop has built an entire empire from it. It's created tens of thousands of jobs and yeah, even helped to stimulate the economy itself. And throughout this time, for the last 25 plus years that I've seen video game stores, I have yet to see the one that's killed a developer, that's destroyed a publisher, that's hurt the industry. Look at EA. They've been around since 1982. They were a small company when they started, and look how they've grown side by side with used game sales. And before you even try to tell me that EA is losing money, I'd like to remind everybody that EA reported $3.8 billion in revenues for the fiscal year ending March 2011. So don't even try it. Here's a question going into the 8th generation of gaming. If new game sales were so miserable, how could any game console succeed? Do you realize that between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, over 413.9 million current gen game consoles have sold this generation alone? That's just this gen. How could that be possible? And how are games selling for these consoles if used game sales are hurting the industry so badly? How could the industry thrive and grow over the last 38 years and 8 console generations? Look at the Dreamcast, for example. When piracy ran amok on the Dreamcast, what happened? From July 23, 2000 to September 30, 2000, Dreamcast hardware sales increased 156.5%, but software sales slumped. Third-party developers dropped the platform and Sega went under. Just like that. That's what happens when new games don't sell. And new games didn't sell because no one had to buy them. There was the piracy market, and it was so easy to pirate the Dreamcast that everyone did it. But I don't see that happening to the consoles nowadays because there's harmony in the actual industry. Used games can never hit the shelves if new games aren't sold. It's not like one new copy of a game gets sold and then it's circulated amongst the rest of the entire installed base. Sure, if a used game sells, the developer doesn't get paid for it. But this is balance. People trade their used games to buy new ones. The used game market stimulates the new. Anyone who says differently is trying to fool you. Of course the used game sells too, but when a used copy of Madden 2006 sells, no one at EA is going to cry about it. So when they say they need to go to a 100% digitally distributed business model, it's not because used game sales are killing them. It's because they want 100% of the profits no matter what it means to us, the gamers. They want you to pay full price for every game you buy, a price they get to dictate forever. And they sure as hell haven't offered us a virtual trade-in system thus far. Why? Because they don't have to. Why give you a discount on something when they know they can milk the full price out of you? And you know, I just hopped online yesterday and checked out how much it'll cost me to download Homefront on Xbox Live. It's $39.99, the same as the retail price. Even though they have no money invested in packaging and sealing the game, no wrap, no DVD case, instruction book, or disc, even though they don't have to ship the game, pay people to work in the plants that manufacture the materials to do all this, they still charge you full retail price. And then they expect me to take their word when they say digital distribution is better somehow. No. It's obvious who it's better for. It's better for them. It's most certainly not better for the people who lose their jobs when physical media is gone. No better for the people who manufacture cases, instruction books, DVDs. Not better for the distributors who buy the games from the manufacturers to sell to the retailers. And definitely not better to the retail outlets that sell the game. Not better for the tens of thousands of people who lose their jobs when all games go digital. And here's the one that really brings it home. Not better to you and I. Not better to the gamer who buys the game for the same price and doesn't even have something physical in their hand to show for it. Nothing physical in their hand to show for the money they dropped. Nothing physical in their hands to buy, sell, trade, loan, give away, whatever they want to do with it, because once they buy it, that's all it is, the illusion of ownership. I challenge anyone who sees this video to argue that. I challenge Guillaume de Fondaumiere to argue that. A digital download has no value. It has no substance, and you do not own it. Think about that next time you hear this argument against the used game market. Think about this next time someone tells you, oh, developers deserve more. Developers are fine as far as I can tell. And I mean, maybe that's insensitive of me. Maybe, I'm part of the problem. I got a video game store. I sell used games. But you know what? If it really were such a problem, I can't imagine that since 1972, when the first home game console hit the shelves, that the used game market hasn't just totally destroyed the new, that it hasn't killed the industry. And if it hasn't done that in 38 years, why is it going to start now? No. The used game market isn't killing the new industry. The new industry is attempting to kill the used game market. It's actually exactly the opposite, and that's something to really consider. And that's all I have to say. I'm going to get out of here. I have some more videos coming up this week. I have a contest announcement video I need to shoot, so be ready for all that. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all later. I bought the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 when it came out on Xbox Live Arcade just for the heck of it, because hey, I like Mortal Kombat a lot, and I figured, well, this is cool. It's the kind of game they can't package and sell for $60 because it's an old title, so I'll pay $10 for it, whatever. And what just happened? They just released the arcade package. It's got Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and Ultimate 3 in it. My Ultimate 3 is now completely superfluous if I buy that. I've paid that money and there's nothing I can do with it. It's gone. It's going to sit there in my library, and I'm never going to be able to play it. How is that fair? I can't do anything with it. They aren't offering 1 and 2 separately, so I have to buy the 1, 2, 3 pack. And now I've got 2 copies of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 that I've paid for. That's a waste, and it's not fair. A blockbuster movie normally costs in excess of $100 million to make. And I can go to my local theater and see that movie for $7.50. Sure, I don't own it, but I'm willing to part with $7.50 to go see it. Then down the road, if I want to own it, I can drop $15-20 on the DVD or Blu-ray. So I'm forced to ask, if the price from start to finish of making a blockbuster movie is on par with or more than that of making a video game, and let's face it, movies aren't less expensive to make than games. In fact, games are probably on average 4 or 5 times cheaper to make than a blockbuster movie. Why is it so much more expensive to go buy the game? Why are movies so much cheaper? I realize that more people see the movies than they do buy the games, but if the games were cheaper, wouldn't more people be inclined to buy them from day one? If you sold the game new for, let's say, I'm being crazy here, $30 instead of $60, wouldn't you get a much greater percentage of the installed base to buy the game on day one? Seriously, think about this. Heavy Rain 2 sold, what, 2 million copies? That's 3.8% of the entire PS3 installed base. Even if they had sold that extra million copies that Guillaume de Fondaumiere is bitching about, it would still only be 5.7% of the entire PlayStation 3 installed base that purchased the game. Maybe developers should start considering making their game more appealing to a greater number of their customers before they start blaming all used game sales. And hey, I also want to mention GameFly and other rental services. Didn't they have something to do with it? It's really funny that Guillaume de Fondaumiere makes this big statement and he completely ignores the rental market. Don't you think that's funny? I think he's shooting straight for the used game market. They really they talk about what suits them best, and we're apparently the devil here in the used game market, so they're concentrating on us. That's something to consider too.